But it doesn't work to keep their trucks.
No, no, it wouldn't.
Well, and looking at the problem, like, it would take a lot of work, that work that's already been put in to have that there, and we really need that there. Yeah.
Well, it's not as functional as it once was, so it wouldn't,
Not sure.
it wouldn't be a bad idea to build a brand new fire station. But $6 for that.
Yeah, it's right, at the end of the day, it's all very system, I'm like, sometimes I wish we could do away with that.
Hey, John.
And actually learning the right way, but that doesn't.
Sorry, make that.
You couldn't write it out. You know, and everybody has a place, everybody does their little part, which. What do we have, like 8 billion, people in the world? I'm really trying to work. Stop, everybody big and not some crazy business.
Hey, she carried it.
Use this. All right.
Lynette?
So,
How you doing?
like, climb back over.
Was you over last week?
Yeah, we all were. Getting older by the day.
Right. I always wondered if we signed up this different side of the fence. Do I feel older today? Because I'm older, or do I feel younger today? And this quickly is a second. It's amazing, there's no brain. Yeah, I'm like, my I do, and I'm good with like, we're certainly walking up that. And I'm like, this is part of this, but I can still want to serve everyone in this guy, that's the motivation. There's always that. Yeah. Oh.
I think considering, so.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I think it should be. Work 7 days. Whatever. I was. That. I needed 2 days.
Yeah.
That's short days.
I don't know.
It's like. You guys. It's like, guys.
But then,
First we outside, we can bring houses and another way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fall. And we're lucky if we got to.
do we want?
We do that all the time.
To bring in,
You know, and take your house.
That's not today.
So it's so much work. Half what I made. Oh, yeah. You didn't need more.
It was. The next one's gonna be.
So that, they go down again, and have not, they'll stop. And they don't, we haven't really, maybe it's much. And our people, I don't get
And they are the ones who
I told myself, you know. You know, I make. And everyone's gonna be like, I like the money, but I don't really like. What the heck?
Me.
But there's no, there's no, like, you know, I don't remember. This word, we want to.
Yeah.
Can make it. This house. I looked at it. Yeah, but that's the motivation, like, you want to know that you feel like it's hard and you want to feel like. And I did make sure it's kind of cool, but it's still like 52 there. I didn't do this. I didn't reach out to our house. It's a minimum lunch that we realize like Not like. Yes.
But I'm
It's
wanting to make sure that there are issues that were.
Well, when I was on hot shot, we've taken out. Now, the work.
Ryan and Brad reach out to me, but they know.
And, we do it exactly.
Okay, I'll take it.
We have 10-hour days.
That's a little different. That's a big. You start. 8 hour days to go on, that's the stuff. But I guess, you know, it's long days for the year.
Yeah.
8 hour day, and I'm thinking 4 hours a week, that was like 5 days.
You gotta get it done.
You know,
That's everything that will work.
so I'm.
So right, you know,
You know, where it's just like, go, on there, like, okay, you said, good, why don't you do this and share it? Now we got a big project, otherwise, it's gonna be a big player.
Right.
You know, that. I'm an example.
I liked it. It was also check.
Well, it's fine, there's no.
Well, really.
set that up. Now we can set it.
So but I need to see first the dates.
So when you back out, and I don't see it. Like, well, it doesn't matter, tell us what it costs. I'm like, I just can't do that. I can't charge you that much more. It's not right. You have to. Forgot that, because you know, I'm like, it's. You're gonna blame me later, you're gonna come back and then pay us much more.
Right.
And people get a lot more. There's pride. You do it. I said, it's better than you do about it. It's like that, yeah, I was talking myself, it's really good, I'm gonna build a spot house. Yeah, the last night, the demos, we used to like.
It's to,
Hope's got it today, but, you know, it's really it was what it was and. Mary. Still, I still.
it's what it is.
But you want to call them for one. But the Karen, everybody can't listen to them paying more for all of this. You know, they do, but then it's there's a part where there's another 10% of my business, and I'm gonna check.
Yeah, there's gonna be, it's like, it's like 2000, you know, I can go back down through all the way.
And this is.
Yes, we're in a late eighties, I started right after that. And 2000 was crazy in the Midwest, I mean,
We gotta explore
the
shop.
it's kind of like watching $500,000 when you right out the window
Right.
over, you know, if you think, oh, we're always so high.
It was the same in Southern California. It just vaporized.
Yeah, crazy how quick, and even still, the subdivision that we own, that we lost. And even, you know, we still had, even after 2009, for the next couple years, probably here. I mean, the banks worked with us, but then it was the process, okay, we can help.
Okay.
And if homeowners wanted to bill, people that did lose their job, and the bank still did it. Bad.
It was awful. I lost my whole credit line.
And so I'm not.
We're going now.
Yeah,
But
I've got stuff, I got like myself with my years. I mean, you know, the markets, people. So I just remember partner on the meeting on it.
Okay.
It's not good.
Yeah. It was 2000.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say. It's like, okay, you pay that. But then how do you pay the taxes on it?
Right.
And how does it last? And we did right because it still hasn't come back in that area.
Didn't call it.
We are 602.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm showing. 6:02. So I would like to call the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of Georgetown to order. It is Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I thought we were all, almost turned into row, you're.
Next will be roll call. I am Lynette Kelsey, police judge. Rob Connell.
Here.
Deanne Powell.
Here.
And John Hennings. And Gazinski. Mary Smith. And Rich Barrows.
Here.
Next, we will do agenda approval. We've been asked to add an agenda item, let's call it number 6. We've been requested by the members of the preservation partners to form a group to engage in discussions with public service company, the energy museum. So let's talk about that just before staff items. Anyone else have things to add to the agenda? All right.
You got to say it.
No, we'll talk about that when in payments.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda.
Okay, we do have one attendee.
All right.
Amanda Cooper.
Go Amanda.
Amanda, do you want to speak during audience business? Can you just type into the chat if you do? Nope, okay. thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, having none, we will move on. Next, we have the payables from April 21st through April 27th, 2023. We have an additional payable, a bill that arrived just this afternoon. And Rick and Mary have both seen it. It is in the amount of $5,630 even, and it is payable to Pearl Mountain Electric LLC, and it,
This is the part that we're wanting to approve. This should give them to order materials. And then that will be the balance that the.
Under what?
Okay.
Administrative.
okay, hang on, I'm getting. Okay, right now, we are only being asked to approve the amount of the materials involved. It is for upgrades to the lighting in the road and bridge shop, and it is in the amount of $2,390. So
But what was that amount again, please?
$2,390.
Thank you.
Appropriate motion when you're ready would be to approve the bills as amended with the addition described.
Okay.
So moved.
Excellent. Second.
Yeah, were there any questions on any of the payables before we take the vote? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Wonderful. Next, we have the minutes from our last meeting, which was April 25th, 2023. And I have given some my corrections to the minutes to Jen, and she sent out a revised set of minutes. So does anybody have any others? Yes, Deanne?
Well, I haven't seen the revised set, so some of this is probably stuff you've caught. Did you catch that Dwayne's name isn't in roll call?
We did.
Okay, and I had a problem with, down at the very bottom of the first page. I thought last time I was, agreeing with that Cora Lou said she, wanted to support the history. And the last few words of that sentence say, and felt it can be done other ways. That was directly in reference to a statement she had made just previous to this sentence, saying that she didn't like building large, and she was saying there has to be another way other than building large. And the way it's written in the minutes, it sounds like felt that this can be done other ways refers to the ordinance, when in fact it was referring to building large. So I would like to see that whole clause removed, everything from "and" to the end of the sentence.
Well,
But that was her sentence. I went back and listened to the recording. That's exactly what she said.
And it was in reference to building large, not to the ordinance. And by the way it's left in the minutes, it sounds as though she's saying done other ways relates to the ordinance, and that's not the case.
well, Dan, pardon me, but after you sent me that email this morning, I did go personally talk to Cora Lou to find out what her position was. And she said that her main point she wanted everybody to know was that she wants to preserve the historic district.
Yes, absolutely.
And that she felt that it could be done in other ways. I mean, that's.
Besides the ordinance, that's the way I took it.
She had just said in the sentences prior to that, that she didn't like building large, and she wanted to keep it small and in keeping with what's already around the historic part. So I just have, it makes it look like she had a different intent than she did.
I disagree. How does everybody else
I disagree.
I disagree also.
feel? Okay, okay.
Very good.
Rich, any thoughts?
If you clarified it with her already, I don't see what we're talking about.
Okay. So am I understanding everybody else is in favor of leaving the correction to the previous minutes as it stands in these minutes? Okay.
And then I found a typo over in, at the top of the next page, the third paragraph down, darker colored printing says, Selectmen Jennings made a motion to direct the town attorney to negotiate and bring back to the Board of Selectmen and instrument. It should be an instrument, no D.
Are you talking about on page 2?
Page 3.
Oh, page 3. Okay. Oh, now I see it. To direct the town attorney to negotiate an instrument permitting town use.
An instrument, not AND instrument.
Oh, okay. Got you. All righty. Good catch there, Dan.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended during the 25th, 2023. I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We move on to, first item on our new and unfinished business agenda is a request for a donation, for the Mayor's and Commissioners Youth Award Program. And you've got a letter in your packet, from Tracy Troya. And just as background, we have in the past, contributed various amounts. But in our budget for this year, we, appropriated 500 towards this. So Any comments
Yeah,
from folks who actually went to the awards dinner?
yeah, so Rich and I both went, and I thought it was an amazing experience. I was kind of surprised actually how well this was done. It was an incredible dinner. They gave amazing gifts and acknowledged specific students that rose above and have conquered certain struggles in their life, and now they're exemplary students, and this was an opportunity to give back to them. They got laptops and all those other kind of gifts, and I'm not sure if there was tuition that's involved. I know it was in the past. So there's a tuition that pays for like their first semester or two. And so it's an amazing program.
They all got it out of the colleges.
Actually, the scholarship piece is good, not just for college, but for trade school or other education.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, so they've broadened it in past years, so, yeah, it is good. Rich, how about you?
It was so nice having dinner out. Thank you for that. Letting me sit in for you, Miss Lynette. My wife and I enjoyed the conversation with Rick and his wife and representing the town really outside of that room in there. That was really an honor and a privilege. And hearing some of the stories, George Marlin was a recipient back in 2004, and hear some of his struggles that obviously he's dealing with and doing well with. And my daughter was a recipient 8 years ago, and Councilman or Selectman Smith actually was the nominee, I believe.
Wow.
Back at my high school days.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. So I saw your hand up, Deanne.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, I thought I did.
Should we consider, like a lot of years, we consider doubling it for, doing 500 twice, just because we have the two students. If we had the money, it seems like we should, if there's two kids.
I think we only budgeted 500. I agree, but I think we only budgeted 500, right?
So in our upcoming budget, which will be here before we know it, we should consider increasing that.
Yeah, let's make a note of that.
If you wanted to, would there be an additional 500 that?
I mean, without having financials in front of me and looking at them, there is 500 right now
Right.
budgeted, so.
Does that mean there'd be no Christmas party?
It's not about you all.
We'll do Christmas parties.
Okay,
So the award has already been given, correct?
oh, yeah, correct.
I mean, obviously, you guys went to the dinner, so if we wanted to try to appropriate more funds this year, we could bring that back after we determine whether or not and where that would come from.
So at this time, do you wanna just table it and have Mary take a look at the budget
Just
and,
put it in our next budget for 1,000.
Okay.
Make it up then,
okay,
no matter if we even have one person
I
next
like
year.
that idea.
okay, does that sound good? All right, so. Do we have to have a motion? It's already in the budget.
Yeah, no, we can just take care of the budget.
Yeah.
It's already.
I hear that it's going forward matter, that we will see at budget time, and what you've done is kind of giving consensus to the staff to make sure that appears in that budget.
Okay.
So, I'll take a motion.
Okay,
But may I ask a question? Should Terry, or does Tracy know that she needs to send me an invoice though? Have you spoken to her?
I would recommend speaking to her directly.
Okay.
All right. Cause I know it was always a little bit, when Donna Klein was doing it, it tended not to get invoiced right away until you specifically asked.
Okay.
So, and Tracy may not know that. So, okay. Next we have a request from Paul Boat, who is the executive director of the Georgetown Trust, regarding the Gateway Visitor Center. I'll let you take this.
I don't know.
Oh.
I mean, I'm
Okay.
getting the same thing. I've asked that he was gonna come in person and
Okay,
share more details than what's already in your packet. But
okay,
It seemed like he was gonna be here.
okay. Well,
You can skip that agenda item.
We sure can.
It shows up on the system.
we sure
We'll
can.
speak to him, otherwise it can easily happen at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Next, we have commission appointments. We have one new member for the Georgetown Business Promotions Commission and one new a renewing member. Kathy Heft is on the Planning Commission and she would like to renew her membership on that commission. And you've got the letters from both of them. The one for the new person for Promotions Commission is Jessica Trevette. Any discussion on either of these?
I would like to see hers put off. I would like to have her come and talk with us. She hasn't been here for an entire year yet. I think she should present herself before the board so that we can meet her and know more than just one side of a piece of paper.
Well, just to give you information, she did attend the Business Promotion Commission meeting.
Can't
And-
understand you, Jen, sorry.
Jessica attended, can you hear me now?
Sort of.
So, okay, let me try this. Jessica attended, can you hear me?
Yes.
She attended the business promotion meeting just last week. And they made a motion to recommend her to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
And she did, attend that whole meeting. I just thought I'd throw that out
She
there.
did provide quite a nice letter, of, resume type, yeah, so. And has offered her services as a volunteer commission member. To do some extensive data analysis for business promotion and obviously the town. As far as, that, so it was unanimous.
I object to a person that I don't know asking me to vote for them. I wish this be tabled until she can present herself in front of the selectmen.
The business commission, the business promotion commission, are we taking any stock in what they're?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole idea behind this, is that we're trusting them.
She wanted to attend tonight, but she had a prior engagement and she couldn't attend.
And just to let you know, I have met her. I was able to meet her and her husband last year at the Fire and Ice chili cook-off. They had an entry and their chili was delicious and I got to chat with them quite a bit. And she seemed very eager to get involved in whatever she could. So I personally.
How is she on historical things? There is no mention here about wishing to maintain the wonderfulness of Georgetown, its specialness, by not changing it, because everything I see in this letter says that she's very much wanting to change things, wanting to let's see, economic growth project. Okay, that sounds real good on paper. What exactly is she talking about? Is she going to diversification of economy through visitor engagement? I mean, I want to meet her. Otherwise, I vote no against her.
Okay,
Well, you have two options procedurally.
sure.
One is to, you've got two motions. One motion would be to appoint, and you'll see if that passes or not. The other option, if someone wants to make it, would be a motion to table the nomination until the appointment until the next meeting, and that motion will either pass or fail. So whichever motion you want to make.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Jessica Trivett to the Business Promotion Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Jessica Trivett to the Business Promotions Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Very much so. We're putting a stranger in who has no proven track record of supporting Georgetown's values. It's unacceptable. That's how we got all screwed up with Miss Cooper being in because she was trying to push all kinds of changes and wanted the dumb statue put up and all kinds of stuff. And no, just no, this is unacceptable. She needs to come in front of the board.
All right, Deanne, thank you. The next appointment is to reappoint Kathy Heff to the Planning Commission.
I move to approve the reappointment of Kathy Heff to the planning commission.
Oh, second.
Second,
Dwayne did the second. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Back to Paul.
All right.
My name is Paul Bose. I'm a resident of Georgetown at 901 Rose Street. I am here as the executive director of the Georgetown Trust for Conservation and Preservation Incorporated. One of the things we do is operate the Georgetown Gateway Visitor Center. Apologize for being late. I had 6:30 for some reason. It was early. The reason I am here is during our last contract round for CDOT, the contract was placed into the town so that we, as the trust, had a contract with the town for visitor services and restroom services to the general public. The town itself has a contract with CDOT to provide those services. We are the contracted agency for that. We were going into our negotiation period. We're looking at the new contract is up after this year. And as we go forward in the negotiation period, it is within our contract that the town actually does the negotiation with CDOT. We are, of course, prepared to assist the town with that process and how that works. But what I'm here to ask for is permission for the town attorney to work with us so that we can move forward with those negotiations.
At whose expense?
Well, it would be your contract.
But I thought we were only the middleman as the fund, because the funds couldn't go direct to the visitor center. And so the town kind of stepped in to be the recipient to turn around and write the check to you, to the visitor center, not to you.
No, not to me at all. It's okay. I see, that's something that I haven't thought about, to be honest with you.
I mean, we were
Because
part of the contract negotiations in the past. I think we were just that.
you were the conduit, but it was put in by the state that you have to be the negotiating body. It's in the contract specifically. You did sign that contract. We are obviously looking for a raise in order to make those things happen. I don't know if we can pay the town attorney.
Well, if you were to be responsible for the cost, it would be, you'd be paying the town. You know, I build the town and the town would say, you know, if that's the direction everybody went, then the town would send you an invoice saying, okay, this is what the charges for the town attorney were for on this matter.
Well, in either direction we have to do this, I would prefer that since we provide such a great service to this town, that the town take that on as our attorney services are gratis. They're all pro bono. So that would be a secondary question for you. My preference would be that the town would donate these services to us.
In the past, you've had negotiations, have they stretched out?
Not terribly long. It's a pretty quick process right now. The time that we would use from the town attorney would be minimal. It's really just a matter of making sure that those things can get to go forward, and then we can work with you after we provided a process. We've moved forward within a certain level of our process, but we legally can't go further.
There are some challenges this year.
Yeah, there are challenges.
However, and because I've been in touch with Cindy, as you know, and we're in the last year of the present contract.
Correct.
And CDOT, there's been a sort of change in staff that is kind of monitoring this.
Mm-hmm.
And the view, at least as represented by Cindy, as communicated by Cindy, is that the staff takes a much dimmer view of the component of the arrangement that provides, whereby there's the gift shop, the sales that are taking place at the visitor center, and there's at least a staff view that that's commercial activity that CDOT can't support with the money that they put in, which is considerable.
Right.
So that hasn't been resolved, and I expect that's gonna come up in these negotiations, just to be clear.
It was resolved, I believe, in a letter to us where they admitted that we are allowed to do that. Our attorney themselves
Okay.
have reviewed those statutes. And
Just recently, this letter came from them?
it came on the 14th of June or April.
Terrific.
Okay.
But they acknowledged in the letter, they never said specifically that they spoke with the AG that they were going to. I didn't really want to get into this publicly, but in there, they mentioned, they admitted that we are allowed, the person in the staff and then mentioned, I can pass that to you when I first work with you. Mentioned specifically that while they are not allowed to operate a gift shop, we are.
Oh.
And it was very clear to our attorney as well. And because the statutes mentioned being in the right of way and being a CDOT property and all those kinds of things, we are not.
Can I interrupt a second, because I think there are some private issues here that could this be discussed before we accept or proceed with your, fees, your part in this? Could there be a meeting, and then come back to the board with this, so that we have all this information?
Sure.
Because it sounds like it's being, I don't know how much information you had on this, it sounds like this is kind of falling on us right now, and maybe a couple of conversations could take place so that everyone feels more comfortable with where we're going with this.
That's what I'm here to ask for specifically. I don't want to get into the details of
Well, exactly.
details of the contract.
So, sure.
Well, that's fine, but what's on the table, to be fair to the board, Paul, if what's on the table is town, will you pay? And by the way, this is gonna be an easy negotiation.
Mhm.
If that's true, then great, but if it isn't not so great, and it's an impact for the town. If CDOT's coming around, that's great. But that's news to me as of like now. So, that's why I'm surprised and.
Right, that's why I would like to speak with you
Okay.
so that we can actually work together in the way we need to work together, so that I'm not getting details in public that are not necessarily correct. The danger of us losing the contract is not there. We are going for a raise. That is all we are going for. That's all we need to worry about. That's what I'm asking for your permission to speak with him about, so that we can go forward and then work with you so that you can present that contract to CDOT. I am not concerned about the fact that CDOT may keep us because that's been offered already. Because I can't work with you directly. So that's why I'm here to ask for that. If you would like to pay for that, I would love it. If you can't pay for that, then we will take that expense on. I will say that we run that operation for what we're doing at a large loss. And that's an issue. So that's why I'm here. Excuse me for interrupting you, but I think that we're getting too much information outside of it. I'm not concerned about losing that contract with them. There's been an offer that is not, but we need to go into another area and we can't legally work on that offer anyway, even if we wanted it. Does that make sense?
So it's only the cost, correct, that whether or not the town pays for it or you?
Yeah. We do.
The concern is, yeah,
So that's all we're
the
assessing. That makes
budget
sense.
impact of,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Fair question.
so, yeah.
And naturally, the board has concerns about that.
Yeah, I would expect.
Well, because does it have a short time or does it cost the town a lot of money? But
Our negotiators like selling. Great.
Well, this is CDOT,
Well, see.
so.
But so
Different. So,
between
yes,
the visitor center, our town administrator, and Jerry, to make sure that this is the direction that needs to be presented to us. can that happen first and then it can come back to us if we're going to be incurring more legal costs to support this contract negotiation?
Is there urgency behind this?
There always is, because you're working with governmental agencies that are very large, so not that level of urgency, no. So this is a perfect proposal.
Let me suggest, a
For
way
what I
to deal with this that gets around the surprise that was weighed on you. And that might be, I understand you want to proceed forward, and if it is reasonably painless, then you would like the board to kind of say that, get that direction tonight, so you don't have to wait. So I guess I'd suggest proper motion might be to, I direct that, you know, I work with the town administrator and the visitor center and their attorneys, and if the negotiation proves more complex than anticipated, then we bring that back to you. But if it isn't, then great, we can just get it done.
But that was defining what's more complex than anticipated. I'm not comfortable going out on a limb, not knowing where this contract negotiations is going to take us. And I don't think that the conversation should be taking place right here. So I would like to make a motion to direct town staff, our town administrator, to discuss with Mr. Bode, the visitor center executive director, Georgetown Trust, and you know, let's start there before we get into too much more.
That's fine too, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty, yeah.
We're
We're fine, we're actually good, yeah.
You can have that conversation
Well,
in the next 2 weeks and bring it back to you, sorry.
what I would say, my quick question is because it's, how do we make a decision on something we have no idea what the cost is and then move forward with that? So I kind
And
of.
so that's where they're
So, yeah.
pull
it's-
that proposal together, but
Yeah.
not here, not now.
So give us half the conversation, we can estimate the cost, we can come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it'll be in front of
And I can know.
it'll be in front of you better position.
Yes.
And I'll have a level of comfort that I desire to have, that is fair for me.
That's fair.
Okay.
Sounds good. Did I hear a second?
Yeah, Dwayne.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Fast.
Does everybody understand the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys, that you were coincided. I apologize for that. Sir, I shall.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna, thank you very much.
Thanks, Derek.
All right, on to agenda item number 4. And this is requesting authorization for a pre-design engineering for Starbuck and Ladder Building addition and accessory building.
This is why I'm here.
Okay. Welcome, Cindy.
Tell us your name and your address.
Cindy Neely and the 714 Eagle Street, and I'm applying for the assistant to the administrator. Because it has its already.
Can't really hear you, Cindy.
Now, to the subject at hand.
Cindy, can you get closer to a microphone? I can't hear you.
Okay, give us 1 sec, please. Thank you for telling us.
There you go.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
Yeah. There you go.
See if the, can you?
We're not supposed to.
Right into just, it has no switch.
So there's no switch, but can you hear me, Dan?
No.
Say, oh, I can hear you through here. Say testing or something.
Testing,
Yeah, I mean, you're coming through there.
testing.
It actually sounds like other microphones are picking it up, not that one.
Okay.
Well, that could be.
It's entirely.
In either case, about the Starbucks.
Rocks.
Back in, a couple of years ago, 2018, we had a historic structures assessment. Some of you may remember that, of this building. This building itself has a few structural problems. Principally that the north west corner, the sill beam is rotted out, and because the building sits on the ground, the floor joists are also not in good shape across the back of the building. But what is really the problem is that the assistant administrator that you're going to hire sometime is has no place to hang her hat, and you know, we're shoving the police department out in other places. So the question became, what are the town's options? And the property here goes all the way back to the greenhouse. It is the full lot. So one of the town's options, and it was an option discussed even back in 2018, is that there could be an accessory building. It would be more of an accessory building than an attachment to this one, because this one, being its own historic structure, probably would remain. But the question really is, what size could we have as a building? What kind of, how could the site operate? We're not at this point saying that somebody should design us a building. We're saying we need to do the work that tells us what that structure could afford us in space, and in perhaps an ADA accessible meeting room, which would be a nice thing to have. And so Rick and I discussed this, and we decided it was probably to do a pre-design, essentially, you know, I just described it. That kind of a study would be a good plan, but at best done by an architect. And we turned to our local architect and said, what would you charge to do that? And that's what you have on your hand. There are probably other opportunities for the town to move to other buildings. So this would allow you to have a, you know, which way do you want to go, folks? Kind of decision on whether you want to stay on the main street here, perhaps move to a county facility, perhaps, you know. But in any case, we've outgrown our space.
Okay. Any questions?
When does he anticipate having this done? How long would it take?
What?
How long would it take? I would suspect we ought to have it in 60 days. There's, you know, this is more mathematical stuff than it is anything else.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the request to allow Tom Peterson, the DP architect, to do the pre-design of the accessory building behind the Starbucks and Ladder building in the amount not to exceed $4,200.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Who seconded, please?
Aye.
Who seconded, please?
I did.
What?
I did.
Who
Dwayne,
is I?
me, Dwayne.
Okay, thank you.
I got my name.
Okay.
Oh, you're exactly. You read it.
All right, anything else in this calendar?
Okay, next we have a short-term lease agreement, not license, lease agreement. Between the town of Georgetown and the Clear Creek Fire Authority.
It actually is, that's a.
This is a license?
Yeah.
Okay,
That is correct in the agenda, and it's correct in the packet.
okay. I kept hearing it called lease. I thought it was just called payments. Sorry.
I can give a short second work on this. You saw this, or this issue came up, I think, last meeting. And so you know the background here, which is space for the police department. The town presently leases to the fire authority, the fire building, the whole building. And the suggestion was, can we carve out a portion of that for the use of the fire department, or excuse me, the police department? And I've spoken with the attorney for the fire authority. And he and I had a good, pretty productive conversation. We talked about what the right mechanism for that would be. And we felt that it, and he was most comfortable with a license rather than a lease. Now, when you think about it, we are the landlord. So while the fire authority could sublease back to us a portion of the property, that's a little goofy. Also, the fire authority attorney was concerned that this not be something that is viewed as really long-term. And that's how it's been represented to the fire authority by the town, is we need to have this for a while as we see how our other facilities, can evolve. The base lease from the town to the fire authority is kind of almost a 2-year by 2-year lease. Right now, it expires at the end of 2024. So in a little less than 2 years. Now, the way it works is we've got a separate IGA, right, with all the towns and the county to fund the fire authority. That 5-party IGA gets renewed every couple of years. Our lease to the fire authority says, hey, our lease extends only as long as that IGA over there. So it's a little odd, because if you amend the IGA to extend, that automatically extends our lease, and that's been our deal, and that's fine. But if that IGA ends, so does our lease, and the town owns it again. So the point being, from the fire authority standpoint, they were not interested in having something that was going to extend further in time in our underlying lease. And I think both parties are interested in that. So that's the long way of saying the instrument to do this is better characterized as a license. The elements of it are the same. Town gets to use a part of the space and under what conditions and terms and whatnot. And so that's the guts of this, which is pretty short. I sent this to Bob Cole about a week ago, asking for his comments, told him I'd be on the agenda for tonight. I've not heard back. I expect that he may well have some comments. So when I've gone through this, my suggestion will be, if you're comfortable with it, that you can approve it subject to any additional corrections necessary as a result of discussions with the fire authority. But if it really goes sideways in some strange way, we'll bring it back to you. But I would expect that there might be some nits and gnats. The first whole page is just kind of describing what I just told you, kind of the relationship that we've had and that the parties are willing to enter into this with a license agreement. And that brings you to the second page. So it relies on an exhibit A, which is in your packet, which is this drawing that I didn't do, but was done by Tom Peterson.
Yeah.
That kind of shows the space. Bob Cole for the fire authority had not seen that until he and I spoke. So they're likely still absorbing that. I think the fire authority itself has seen that partition plan.
Yeah.
Very good. So there's that. That's the space that we get. The term, you'll notice, is right up to the paragraph 2, December 31, 2024. I've said unless earlier terminated or extended. So for example, if the IGA gets extended and our lease gets extended to the fire authority, we can extend this. But right now it's just this whatever 20-month term. Through obligations to Georgetown, we have to build a partition wall. We've got to provide a janitorial, and the space for utilities, etc., or how we share the utilities is the way I put it together right now is if our space in the building is 10%, making up the numbers by floor area, and the utility bill's $100, then our share of the utility building is a utility bill is $10. That's what all these blanks do. And I have no idea what will get filled in, but that's kind of the mechanism. Upon termination, we'll remove the partition wall. obligation of the fire authority, it's kind of the, you know, typical landlord. We'll give you quiet enjoyment of the building and you'll get 3 parking spaces. Which I would have to put in, the rest is insurance and stuff like that. So the real key is, you know, do you like this approach? And it does give us, it's something we could sign probably faster than the lease. And if there's not a lot of pushback fundamentally from the fire authority's attorney, then we can get it signed up. I'm happy to answer questions. Rick, what did I miss?
I was gonna say, just to direct you on the drawing, because it is a little crazy to try to understand it, but this is the wall we're talking about right here. And this is the access point that would come up these stairs. There's 2 bathrooms. And this is the closets they're gonna use for evidence and for the server, but this is the space right here. Yeah, this right here, this will be the police space, this right here. Yes.
So not
Yeah.
not the meeting room,
Yeah.
just the office.
Yes, the office, correct, right, exactly, where it says office. Just where it says office, and that's the doors that will come through into the access point that they'll come on, it's the south entrance of the fire department. So, and then the parking, you can see the 3 spaces are in the front, on the south end, overflow parking, overflow parking, it's pretty basic, simple stuff.
So we'll just have to change, so I imagine it's probably our responsibility anyway, but right now the overflow parking that's on Brownell Street, so it's fire department parking or fire department only, or something along those lines. And I would anticipate that there might be someone who needs to step in the police department and wants to know where to park, so we'll take care of that, and, yeah.
Yeah, signs would be, I mean, I asked Kelly about it and Kelly said, we have no problem with people parking across the street, walking over. So maybe we just put a sign saying.
Or just police and fire parking, well, we don't want to encourage people that are walking, yeah.
Oh, yeah, or events.
Yeah,
too.
so people business only,
Yeah, or police and fire.
yeah,
That would make the most sense.
but to make it clear, so that they know that where to park if they need to access the police facility.
And I think we can use the diagram to do that, you know, it's sometimes you try to articulate the word. But in this case, I think we'll probably heavily rely on the diagram, we can keep editing it. And because it's visual, for stuff like that, that's the easier way to accomplish it. And it will be an exhibit, so part of the agreement. Did we put a motion in the packet?
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
but the word
Yeah,
lease needs to
yeah.
change the license.
yeah, let's change it to, when we're ready to make the motion, we need to approve the request to approve. So how about just move to approve the short-term license agreement, short-term license agreement, that's our term, huh? Yes. Short-term license agreement between the town and CCFA.
Well, Georgetown, please,
Right.
to use the space in the fire station.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, and would you add and form approved by the town attorney and town administrator at the end? Only because, well, I haven't heard back from Bob Cole yet. He may have a few changes, and I promise you that they're at all substantive, we'll reopen.
So,
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. All right, next is our additional item. So I attended the annual Preservation Partners meeting this past Saturday. Mary Smith also was there. Many of the organizations here in town that deal with preservation were there. HDPLC, the Energy Museum, Georgetown Trust, Hotel de Paris, DRC, HGI was there. And So, there were also representatives, well, there was somebody from the Forest Service. And also, Frank Young was there for, Silver Plume. And, Smokey Anderson was there for, trails and open space as well. So, great representation, great group. Many of the members expressed a lot of concern about what is being proposed by Public Service Company as far as the decommissioning of the 4-bay dam, the draining of the reservoir, the changes to the penstock, and the decommissioning of the Energy Museum. The Energy Museum folks were there, if I forgot to mention them. And so it was the consensus among the group that perhaps it would be best, since the town already is in negotiations with Public Service Company, but the town's concerns are mainly hydrology changes and health changes, because that's affecting our water intake. And to get the preservation concerns into the discussions more effectively in engaging public service in those aspects of what they're proposing to do. It would be best, their recommendation was that the town take the lead in forming a group that has representatives from all of these preservation entities, and make sure that everybody's concerns are expressed, and Public Service Company is fully aware of everyone's, and to avoid Public Service Company trying to treat each of these entities as a separate silo and saying one thing to one group and one thing to another, it would be better to present a more united front. So just bringing that request to the board. Did I miss anything, Mary? Okay. Okay, good deal, good deal. Mary and I expressed the interest that the town would probably have, but wanted to bring it to the whole group, and so here we are. Any thoughts?
Well, this is kind of in alignment with the letter that we discussed, Lynette sign off on meeting or two ago, where it was an understanding or agreement between all of those mentioned parties. So.
Well, yeah, and this is totally for the dam or the Energy Museum.
Well, they're
trying to dovetail them together.
well, it's like, you know, the neck bone's connected to the backbone. It's all connected, and what they do at the 4-bay, what they do to the penstock affects what happens downstream. What they do up there affects our water intake. And rather than treating it in, all we want is just this, kind of forcing a broader look at what their proposal is, so that the long range effects of what their focus, when they focus on the little tiny piece, they're ignoring the bigger picture.
So
And
you're interested in making sure that they cover the forest through the trees.
yes,
Well,
yep. So, yes, Deanne?
Was HDPLC involved? Because I know Smokey and Frank are both part of it, but you said they were being there representing other groups. I just want to make sure.
I mentioned them.
Okay.
I did mention him. Greg Jarvis was there representing HDPLC.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And
Missed that.
Yep. So, I don't know that we need a formal motion on that, do we? Just to form a group? Don't think so. Just, okay. Sounds like we're all in support of it though,
We're meeting one of the next time.
Okay.
So,
all right.
there is a meeting though, that, I mean, at this point.
There's an open house.
Yeah, the open house is scheduled on May 24th at the old school, and we would like to get some information, our preservation partners would like to get some information out through our town email,
Yeah,
so that we encourage people to attend.
Right.
you know what time?
I think it's like 10 to 4 and.
I will send that information because Greg passed that along. So. Okay, sounds great. Staff items next.
First, does anyone have any questions regarding my reports or task list?
No question.
Dates.
Your reports for what?
Does anyone have any questions about my report? Dates?
You say, like,
The staff report, his administrative update and task list.
Okay, yeah.
She might not be able to hear because Mary.
I'll give updates and all that stuff. I just want to talk through the issues first. I think those are, it's pressing and some of these, you just need to be aware. Excel, we have submitted our responses to Excel at Jerry and I worked together and, finished that letter, sent it to them. They have had some time to review it. They are still not in agreement with us. I'm not surprised, but we continue to hit the same drum beat constantly. We want more information than what they're submitting us, and it's been the same song and dance the entire time. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting with Excel, Cindy Neely and I both, to discuss what they were wanting. They just wanted to go clean the trash rack. And they made it like this was no big deal. We just want to clean it. It hasn't been cleaned since high waters are coming. We want to clean the rack. And we asked questions. It was kind of like, it's no big deal. It'll be in and out in no time. It was a big deal. And it actually, they had guys and they completely shut down the creek in order to do this. And so this caused major problems with our plants. They did not call Ryan. So this was all unexpected. By the time they turned it back on, nothing but mud came through. It clogged our filters. It took 2 hours for them to shut it down. And then it was a big ordeal that there was no paperwork involved at all. And so Ryan went berserk. We called multiple people. I sent a very formal letter to Excel stating how unhappy we were with the conditions and the way this was handled. I contacted and sent emails to CDPHE, EPA of like this, we're tired of this now. We're tired of the way that this has been going. We need guidance from them to figure out and it's been like this every single time. Hey, we want to inform you what's going on, and then they do something different. It's just been one conversation after another. So this time, we're gonna meet with them in person. But it's gonna be hopefully a bigger group that we have meeting within this time, but that's just where it's at right now. And we probably need to convey our frustration May 24th with them.
Could Jerry, will you get involved?
Jerry is involved.
Yeah, and, one thing, I think the careful mode is we don't want to sort of lawyer up so that we don't get progress made, and especially with Excel. That's been my experience with them for decades. And you have to kind of navigate it. At some point, it is appropriate. I'm gonna try to not be the reason there isn't progress, So we have to kind of play that carefully, but it's a fair question.
So we are supposed to have a meeting with them next week. Bighorn Crossing, I am going to be sending a formal letter to him, asking him to move the berm and the fence because we're wanting to get ready for our Argentine North project. And so that's going to go out this week with him. We kind of would like to have a pathway and a ditch so that the water can drain properly, because we don't want to go through this another year of the road being destroyed. So we kind of want to fix some of that stuff. But it would have been nice if we can use some of the millings or road base to put a path down there. However, after talking to Cindy Neely, it's gonna cost a lot of money to then remove that, and that's not in the budget. So we're gonna try to get our equipment and smooth it out more to make it a little bit better for people to walk and access that and not be in the road. Sound issues with town hall. This is the OWL system. We've been testing it out for several weeks. We decided to purchase it, and then we had Rob Solomon come and do some adjustments on the audio. And hopefully, I mean, we tested it multiple times. Deanne, how does it sound?
It's as bad as ever. Every time you guys get more than one person talking, it just goes all garbled again. And like when you first started on this thing and I was asking, wait, what? I could not understand that you said, town administrator report or whatever it was you said. It just is not good enough for the recording.
Okay, excuse me, Rich, what were you gonna say?
It's been pretty good, except the audience part, that is still kind of tough. And I don't know if it's because they're farther away. But I think you could probably amplify with a microphone that's not wired with a Bluetooth system, and you could amplify the audience folks and use a wireless mic, and that might help that situation. And that's not an expensive fix either.
Okay, we can try that. I mean, we're trying, we will take any advice and we're all trying to make it better for everybody.
AT&T was wrong. It's not the best. Like the best thing of being there.
Can you hear me now? All right, thanks, Deanne. We'll continue to work on it.
Yeah.
Short-term rental denials, that's gonna be here. We couldn't do it this week because there's days that you have to be 10, 15 days in advance to get that out. It was not possible, so it's gonna be on next month's or our next agenda, next meeting. Demolition by neglect. There's a letter that I've written today, and I actually spoke to Koski's wife. Bob Hamilton and I both went down to do an inspection of the exterior. And then I had the letter, and I'll send the DRC's letter with my letter to him tomorrow. So it's all written. Berm's already mentioned that. And also next meeting, we're gonna have an appeal of 606 6th Street, the old Red Ram restaurant. Safe Built has denied the request of a repair, and he is now appealing. Craig and their entity, the owners and everything are appealing to the board. And so you will get that information ready for that next.
What was the repair?
It was a fire, and they were.
It's how the extent of the project is being classified. And that's what's being appealed.
The code analysis.
More info will follow.
Yeah,
when
more
it's in
will come.
progress.
And so another thing, we're currently looking at some engineering firms in order to do feasibility studies, if it's buildable in the location of mill site. If it is buildable, then we'll have to do a drainage study in order to convey the water outside of the mill site. And then we'll need a phase 1 and an environmental assessment. If it is not buildable, then we're gonna still ask for a feasibility study. I mean, sorry, an environment, my mind's blowing. A drainage study, because we want to still move the water out of there. But we will not need an environmental study, because if it's not buildable, we're not going to spend that. So then we'll have to consider other options. So we've got 3 engineering firms, SDH, Baseline, and KLJ. They're both going to be submitting cost estimates for that. And then Lynette and I will talk through the details of what I learned. Upcoming, this is something that we are looking at and considering. I'm just going to bring it to your attention. May 19th, there is a rafting, and it's free for the community. And we are considering doing a staff outing and have some fun together and that's the 19th of May. So if we can get our work done, that's our goal, is to get our work done so we can go play. I'm just gonna highlight some things that we're creating some fun, new things for our staff meetings. Creating culture of what we're saying we're gonna be about. And we've got some things that we've discussed, but I'm gonna prepare to bring something back to you guys that will define who we are. And even when we hire the new people, that will have some fun team building things with them as well. Cindy, Neely and I are working on a lot of projects together. So she's helping me with the hydrology and the other side and talking to these other entities. And so we're consumed with that. I have got my land use application ready to submit to the DRC for moving the millings down to the town-owned property. The only thing that I'm waiting on right now is an EPA guidelines of how we should properly store our millings. And so I just want to make sure that we're ahead of the curve on that. Another thing is Mile High Jeep Club has reached out. Mary got the email too, but they're wanting to do a parade in Georgetown. And there's a 57th annual week-long Jeeping event that's going to be in Empire, July 22nd through the 29th. But they want to do something in Georgetown.
300 Jeeps in a parade. This isn't something, this is like something.
Yeah.
What's the parade ride?
Right.
I don't know.
Right? Everything down the middle.
We are in the process of planning, digging out Skyline soon. The main line that froze this winter. We're gonna dig it out, insulate it and insulate about 3 feet into the service lines while it's open in order to prevent that happening again.
Who you get that?
I don't know, that's Ryan.
Okay, I was just gonna suggest Becky Blackmer.
Okay.
You know, he's really good, he's been up here and he knows exactly the temperature changes and he knows exactly how to lay that pipe.
Great. I will let Ryan know. So there, we've had one person ask for financial assistance. We do have a fund set up for that, and there's discretion for Ryan and I to determine how much that we're gonna do, but he's got an account set up for that. Speaking about the short-term rentals, we are reaching out to the homeowners association too, just to make sure, because they're appealing it next meeting, and I've reached out to the homeowners association just to get specifics about what their guidelines are, and I'll report that. Looking at an infrastructure grant with Cindy Lee and Beth Luther. As you can see, I'm not doing much.
Infrastructure on what, like specific type projects?
This one was the context of if we go another direction with the housing at mill site, can we still get infrastructure for the conveying of the water? And Beth was like, yes, there's still grants out there to do it. So because we're holding ARPA funds to be able to do something significant, but if we can't, there's still other means to get both of these done. So that was that context. Argentine North, I know you asked about that. The updates are, we're still trying to get grants for that. We've applied for, or we're going to be applying for the dollar grant. It's $950,000. That will be in addition. But we're still, I think it's July is the deadline for that. We will not start any construction until next summer.
Right.
So that's all I have for that. I'm gonna be moving forward with Silver Plume, since that was already authorized. We're just gonna contact them soon to get the repairs done for the gazebo. We did meet with DRC and Planning Commission. I know I couldn't write all these things down. There's too many things going on every day. We did have a joint meeting to discuss that. Jerry led it. I felt like it was a very good meeting. We kind of came to a good conclusion that we're gonna shift some things on the charts, and then is it gonna be brought back here? Is that the goal?
Well, I would like to get one more head nod, I think, from DRC Planning Commission. I think that was really how, I think that was promised to them explicitly or otherwise, and I'd like them to be fully on board, but they're getting there, honestly.
Crazy Horse is another one that Rob and I have been talking about, but we're gonna look at this and figure out what we need to do as far as if they're storing stuff, then they need to have a special permit to store stuff. we just don't know. We're gonna have to dig a little bit more into that. And then lastly, just to keep you posted, is we have another special use permit that potentially would change the yellow house that's on Rose and Seventh. It's like an old tea. Dusty Rose tea house thing. They are proposing to turn that into a boutique hotel. And possibly like a bar, restaurant inside of it too. So it's gonna be a residential use turning in, well, residential / commercial to a commercial use.
Yeah.
So, but that's the.
It's actually the old St. James Hotel.
Oh, really? There you go.
So, well, maybe that may be a good, easier case to switch back to the hotel. That's what I have.
It is.
Any questions?
Okay.
Great.
And then we were gonna talk about ordinance number 8. The hotel licensing.
So Jerry and I are gonna be meeting soon. His schedule's hard and so is mine, and both busy, but that is something that we're gonna talk. Plan on to meet with Amber and Brittany as well, because Brittany has also emailed with some questions. So I'd like to meet with them to make sure that we're gonna answer their questions. I'm gonna then meet with the administrator from Wheat Ridge, because they have a very similar plan, and to kind of figure out how are they reporting this? And did they change it, or should they change things, you know, since they've been doing this a little bit longer than us? So I think once that happens, Jerry will make some changes and we'll bring it back.
Okay.
Anything else, Jerry?
No, I think that's good, and we may be asking for a little more time. As you know, there's a 3-month period before these report heads start being filed, and we've used up a month of that. The conversations, I think, are productive and the right thing to have with the industry. So it may well be that when we do bring back a package, we might want to extend that compliance period another month or two.
Okay. All right, that kind of takes care of everything that was on the agenda. Anybody have anything they want to bring up?
What's the deal for tomorrow? Don't we have the special meeting scheduled for tomorrow, or is that during?
Tomorrow evening.
Jerry,
Yeah,
are you bringing pizza? Not kidding.
I couldn't hear any of that.
The special meeting tomorrow night, it's a board training on conflicts of interest, ethics, liability, those kinds of things. And it's been requested that I bring pizza, and I'm gonna take that request under advisement. Depends upon how nice, you know, Rob is to me in between now and then.
What, have you lost weight?
Oh, man, well done. So tomorrow night at 6, right?
Hey, maybe what, like an hour tops? I mean.
Yeah, an hour, we'll do it in an hour. Yeah, I promise that.
Eat fast.
Yeah, can I just mind if I Zoom? I've got a 10-year-old that I have to watch.
Yeah.
We'll have if people want to be here.
There's a test at the end that you can let your 10-year-old take.
Yeah.
Sweet, you would love that.
Okay.
Can I take my test after?
One end to.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. It is 7:16 p.m. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Are we going to do the executive session?
No?
No exec session tonight. We're all good.